Right now, as you're watching this video, Washington, D.C. just made a decision that's sending shockwaves through every retirement community in America. The ink is barely dry on legislation that millions of seniors have been waiting decades to see. We're talking about a massive overhaul that could reshape how benefits are calculated, who qualifies for them, and most importantly, how much money ends up in your bank account each month. Here's what nobody's telling you. This isn't just another political headline that disappears by tomorrow. This reform includes provisions that directly impact retirees, especially those who worked both in the private sector and government positions. If you've ever paid into Social Security, or if you're currently receiving benefits, the next few minutes could be the difference between missing out on thousands of dollars or finally getting what you've earned after years of hard work. The mainstream media is focused on the immigration angle, but buried in this 300-page document are clauses about benefit adjustments, eligibility expansions, and cost of living calculation changes that financial advisors are calling the most significant update since 1983. Let's break down exactly what this means for your retirement. Now, I know what you're thinking. You clicked on this video because you saw immigration bill in the title, and you're wondering what on earth that has to do with your Social Security check. Well, let me tell you something that's going to surprise you. This bill that just passed through Congress isn't just about immigration. It's a comprehensive reform package that's been tied together with provisions affecting Social Security, Medicare funding, and retirement benefits in ways that most people won't understand until it's too late. And that's exactly why you need to hear this information right now, before the changes take effect. Let me take you back to understand how we got here. For the past 18 months, Congress has been in heated debates about immigration reform. But here's where it gets interesting for retirees. In order to get enough votes to pass this legislation, lawmakers attached several amendments that directly impact Social Security beneficiaries. This is a common practice in Washington that they call bundling, and it's exactly how major changes to entitlement programs often slip through without much public attention. The politicians know that if they tried to pass Social Security reforms on their own, it would take years of debate and public scrutiny. But when they attach these changes to a must-pass immigration bill, suddenly everything moves much faster. So what exactly is in this bill that affects your retirement? First and foremost, there's a significant change to how work credits are calculated for individuals who have split careers between government service and private sector employment. For decades, seniors who worked in jobs that didn't pay into Social Security, like certain state and local government positions, faced reductions in their Social Security benefits through something called the windfall elimination provision. This has been a thorn in the side of millions of retirees, particularly teachers, firefighters, and police officers who dedicated their lives to public service only to see their Social Security checks slashed when they retired. The new legislation includes modifications to this provision that could mean substantial increases in monthly benefits for affected retirees. We're not talking about pocket change here. Some estimates suggest that eligible seniors could see their monthly checks increase by anywhere from $200 to $500, depending on their work history and current benefit amount. That's an extra $2,400 to $6,000 per year that could make a real difference in your quality of life during retirement. Imagine what you could do with that additional income. Maybe it means finally taking that trip you've been putting off. Or perhaps it helps cover the rising costs of prescription medications that seem to climb higher every single year. But here's where it gets even more complex, and this is something you really need to understand. The bill also includes provisions related to how immigrant workers who gain legal status will interact with the Social Security system. Now, before you tune out thinking this doesn't apply to you, listen carefully. The way these new workers are integrated into the Social Security system has direct implications for the overall solvency of the program. Social Security operates on what's called a pay-as-you-go system, meaning current workers pay into the system to support current retirees. When you add millions of new workers into the system who will be paying payroll taxes, it actually strengthens the financial foundation of Social Security. This is crucial information that the fearmongers on on cable news won't tell you. The Congressional Budget Office released an analysis showing that the addition of these new taxpayers into the Social Security system could extend the program's solvency by an estimated 7 to 10 years. That's huge news for anyone concerned about whether Social Security will be there for them throughout their retirement years. We've all heard the doom and gloom predictions about Social Security running out of money, but this reform actually pushes that date further into the future. For seniors currently receiving benefits or those approaching retirement age, this provides a level of security and peace of mind that's been sorely lacking in recent years. Now let's talk about something that's buried deep in the legislation, but could have massive implications for your healthcare costs. Attached to this immigration reform bill are provisions that affect Medicare funding allocations. The bill redirects certain revenue streams that were previously earmarked for border security operations toward Medicare supplemental programs. What this means in practical terms is that there's going to be expanded coverage for certain preventive care services and potentially lower co-pays for routine medical procedures. The exact details are still being hammered out by the Department of Health and Human Services, but early indications suggest that seniors could see reduced out-of-pocket expenses for things like diabetes management, cardiovascular screenings, and physical therapy services. Here's another aspect that's getting virtually zero coverage in the mainstream media, but could impact your tax situation. The bill includes changes to how Social Security benefits are taxed for individuals with additional income sources. Currently, if you're receiving Social Security and you also have income from pensions, retirement accounts, or part-time work, a portion of your Social Security benefits may be subject to federal income tax. The new legislation adjusts the income thresholds that trigger this taxation, effectively raising the limits before your benefits become taxable. For a married couple filing jointly, the threshold is being increased from the current $32,000 to $45,000. For single filers, it's going up from $25,000 to $37,000. What does this mean for you in real dollars and cents? Well, if you're currently paying taxes on your Social Security benefits because your combined income pushes you over the threshold, you might find that you're now below the new higher threshold. This could result in keeping more of your benefit check tax-free, which effectively increases your disposable income without actually increasing your benefit amount. It's a backdoor increase that many seniors will appreciate when they file their taxes next year and discover they owe less than they anticipated, or perhaps qualify for a larger refund. Let me address something that I know is on many of your minds because I've seen the comments and questions on previous videos. There's a lot of confusion and misinformation circulating about how these changes might affect people who are already receiving Social Security versus those who haven't yet filed for benefits. The good news is that most of the positive changes in this legislation apply to both current beneficiaries and future retirees. The modifications to the windfall elimination provision, for instance, will automatically be applied to existing benefit calculations. This means if you're currently receiving reduced benefits due to this provision, the Social Security Administration will recalculate your benefit amount and issue back payments for the difference going back to the effective date of the legislation. However, and this is important, these recalculations don't happen overnight. The Social Security Administration is a massive bureaucracy managing benefits for over 70 million Americans. When legislation like this passes, it takes time for them to update their computer systems, retrain their staff, and process the millions of individual cases that need adjustment. Based on previous legislative changes, we can expect it to take anywhere from 6 to 18 months before you see these changes reflected in your monthly payments. That's why it's crucial to stay informed and to keep documentation of your work history, especially if you worked in positions that didn't pay into Social Security. You may need to provide this documentation to expedite your case when the time comes. There's also an element of this bill that deals with cost of living adjustments, which we all know as COLA. Every year, Social Security benefits are supposed to increase to keep pace with inflation, but the formula used to calculate these increases has been controversial for years. Many seniors feel that the current formula doesn't accurately reflect the real increases in costs they face, particularly when it comes to healthcare, housing, and food. The new legislation mandates a study and potential revision of the Consumer Price Index formula used to calculate COLA increases. While this doesn't immediately change your benefit amount, it sets the stage for potentially more generous increases in future years. The study is required to be completed within 2 years, with recommendations for a new calculation method that more accurately reflects the spending patterns of seniors rather than the general population. Think about what this could mean going forward. If the study results in a new formula that better captures the real inflation that retirees face, we could see more substantial annual increases in Social Security benefits. Instead of the 1.3 or 2% increases we've seen in some recent years, we might see adjustments that more closely match the actual rising costs in senior-specific expenses. Over the course of a 20 or 30-year retirement, even slightly higher annual adjustments compound into significantly more purchasing power and financial security. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room that some of you are undoubtedly thinking about. You might be wondering whether this bill creates any new obligations or requirements for current Social Security recipients. The answer is no. There are no new hoops to jump through, no additional paperwork to file annually, and no new eligibility requirements that could disqualify you from benefits you're currently receiving. This is purely beneficial legislation for most retirees, which is rare in today's political climate. The changes are designed to strengthen the system and provide relief to those who have been unfairly penalized by outdated provisions. However, there is one group of seniors who need to pay particular attention, and that's anyone who is currently living abroad while receiving Social Security benefits. The bill includes new reporting requirements for beneficiaries who spend significant time outside the United States. If you're a snowbird who spends several months each year in Mexico, Canada, or another country, you'll need to notify the Social Security Administration of your travel plans and foreign addresses. This isn't designed to reduce your benefits or make life harder, but rather it's an anti-fraud measure that's been included to ensure benefits are going to legitimate recipients. The requirement is simple enough. You just need to update your contact information and confirm your status annually through the online portal or by calling the Social Security Administration directly. Let's talk about timing, because this is crucial information that could affect your financial planning for the coming months and years. The bill was signed into law just recently, but different provisions have different implementation dates. Some changes, like the tax threshold adjustments, will take effect at the start of the next calendar year. Others, particularly those requiring significant administrative changes at the Social Security Administration, will be phased in over a longer period. The modifications to the windfall elimination provision are scheduled to begin implementation within 6 months of the bill's signing, with full retroactive payments to be completed within 18 months. This staggered implementation is typical of major legislation and is designed to give government agencies time to prepare their systems and staff for the changes. What should you be doing right now to prepare for these changes and ensure you receive every dollar you're entitled to? First and foremost, gather your documentation. If you worked in any job that didn't withhold Social Security taxes, government positions, certain railroad jobs, or foreign employment, make sure you have documentation of those work periods. Dig out old W-2 forms, employment letters, or pension statements that prove your work history. The Social Security Administration should have records of your earnings, but having your own documentation can speed up the process if there are any discrepancies or missing information in their system. Trust me, government databases are not infallible, and having your own paper trail can save you months of back and forth trying to prove your work history. Second, create or access your My Social Security account on the official Social Security Administration website. This online portal is going to be the primary way that updated information about these changes is communicated to beneficiaries. You'll be able to see your updated benefit calculations, track the status of any recalculations or back payments, and receive important notifications about implementation timelines. If you're not comfortable with computers or online accounts, consider asking a trusted family member to help you set this up. In today's digital age, having access to your online account is essential for staying informed about changes to your benefits. Here's something else that many seniors overlook, but that could be valuable in light of these changes. Consider scheduling an appointment with your local Social Security office to review your entire benefits picture. The staff there can help you understand exactly how these new provisions will affect your specific situation. They can review your work history, explain your current benefit calculation, and estimate what your new benefit amount might be once the changes are implemented. Yes, Social Security offices can have long wait times, but for potentially thousands of dollars in additional benefits, it's worth the investment of a few hours. When you call to schedule your appointment, specifically mention that you want to discuss how the recent legislation affects your benefits. This will help ensure you're scheduled with a representative who has been trained on the new provisions. Now, before we wrap up this discussion, I need to address some of the rumors and misinformation that's already starting to circulate about this legislation. I've seen posts on social media claiming that the bill includes provisions to means test Social Security benefits or to raise the full retirement age even further. These claims are completely false. There is nothing in this legislation that changes the eligibility age for Social Security or that reduces benefits based on your assets or savings. These are scare tactics designed to generate clicks and views, and they do a real disservice to seniors who are trying to understand the truth about how this bill affects them. Always verify information through official sources like the Social Security Administration website or reputable news organizations before believing or sharing claims about changes to Social Security. The bottom line is this: the legislation that just passed Congress includes several provisions that could positively impact your retirement finances. Whether it's through increased benefits, reduced taxation, improved Medicare coverage, or enhanced program solvency, most seniors stand to benefit from this reform package. The key is staying informed, maintaining good documentation, and being proactive about understanding how the changes apply to your specific situation. Don't wait for the government to reach out to you. Take charge of your financial future by learning about these provisions and ensuring you receive every benefit you've earned through decades of hard work and contributions to the system.